Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the final guitar solo lesson from The Stage by Avenged Sevenfold. Okay, in part one, we're going to cover all of the sweeps that take place in the sweep picking sequence. All right, let's get started with the first pattern. Right, so this one honestly is the hardest pattern to get clean out of all of them, in my opinion. As I was practicing this, it was just driving me mad. That's why it took me a little longer than usual. So here we are starting off on the first string, pulling off from 15 to 10. And then we're going to sweep upwards to 11. On the third and fourth string, we are barring on the 12th note with a ring finger right here. And this is the tricky part. It's going to ring out a lot as you practice. You have to really do your best to nail muting those unwanted notes and strings. I recommend watching my video on how to sweep pick. I'll link it in the description down below, and I'll probably put a card over here somewhere. So check it out if you need kind of a refresher or if you're a beginner, because these sweeps are definitely not beginner level. Right, so we started off on the first string, pull off, sweep upwards, bar. And as you can see, with anything that you're barring with a finger, when sweep picking, you want to be rolling your finger on the fretboard as if your finger is doing the worm on the fretboard. It's pretty difficult doing it with your ring finger. See, I'm lifting it up and down, up and down. All right, so that's the first pattern. Let's move on to the next pattern. Okay, so right here we're starting off on the first string, pulling off 15 to 11. And on the 11th note, we're barring with our index finger the first and second string, okay? And again, we're doing that worm on the fretboard, rolling our finger on the fretboard motion. Just pay attention to my index. Now we're going to move on to the next pattern. The next pattern is exactly the same as the one we just did, except this time we're starting on the 17 on the first string. Again, same principle. Do the worm. Yeah, do the worm on that fretboard with your finger that's barring. Now let's move on to the next pattern. This is what we're going to call pattern X. So when I refer to pattern X, you know which pattern I mean, as it occurs a few more times in the sequence. So here we have on the first string pulling off 17 to 14. We're going to sweep it upwards to the second string 15, third string 14, and then fourth string 16. And from there you just sweep up and down. Okay, so remember, pattern X. Let's move on to the next pattern in the sequence. I'm pretty proud of this one because I managed to get it clean as I was practicing, even though we're barring 3 strings with 1 finger. So here we are pulling off from 18 with our pinky to 15 on the first string. We're barring the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string with our index finger on the 15, and again, doing the worm. Yeah, doing the worm. Take a look at my index finger. And on the 4th string, we're playing 17 with our ring finger. Forgot about that one. It's time for the next pattern in the sequence, and it is a pattern X type. Right, remember? Here we're starting on the 18, and then we're doing the pattern. And now for the next pattern, which is also a pattern X type sweep, this time starting on the 20th note on the 1st string. And now for the final pattern in this sweep picking sequence. Alright, this one is tricky too because it's so high up on the fretboard. We're pulling off from 22 to 17 on the 1st string. From there we're barring the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string with our middle finger on the 19. And again, we're doing the worm motion. Do the worm. Okay, now let's move on to other licks. Here we have a diminished sounding evil lick. So right here we have some legato and sweep picking. Sinister Gates loves the sweep pick. So we're pulling off from 20 to 17 on the 1st string. Sweep pick upwards to 19 on the 2nd string, 3rd string, pull off 20 to 17. Pick 19 on the 4th string, go back to the 3rd string, 17, hammer on 20, sweep downwards, 19, 17, sweep back upwards, 19, 20, pull off on the 3rd string to 17, and then we have 19, pull off to 16, hammer on 19 on the 4th string. Three-quarter note bend, bend, pick at the height of the bend, vibrato. So here we have the climax, I guess you could say, of the solo, where we have very fast-paced sweep picking on 3 strings. So we're going to start off with pattern X. You remember how that goes? This time starting at the 18th note, pull off to 15. Right, so that's our 4-string sweep. We're going to be playing through that sequence once at a normal pace, and then we're going to double time it and play it twice, but this time only the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd string. Another thing to note, when we're doing the fast-paced sweep picking patterns, we are actually picking the 1st string instead of hammering on pulling off. For me, as I listen to the solo itself, the studio version, I can hear a lot of attack during that part. You can make your life easier and just hammer on pull off. Maybe that's what they're doing. I'm not sure actually, but I think it's all picked. I think I've seen a live version of him picking it as well. Right, so pattern X, 4 strings, and then 3 strings. And then from there we hit that 15th bend again. So now we're going to learn the last fast-paced pattern. That's kind of goes hand in hand with the first pattern we just learned. Okay, so this one is pretty simple. We're starting off in the 19, pulling off to 15, playing 17 on the second string, 16 on the third, and 17 on the fourth. Again, we're playing 4 strings, neutral speed, and then double timing it, playing it twice, 3 strings, fast speed. Let's move on. This part is pretty simple. We're going to start off on the 18, bend 3/4 notes. Vibrato right at the top of the bend. From there we slide to 19. Bend, release, pick. Pick again, bend, release, pick. And now we have the last part here. Okay, so now we're playing another diminished lick, and it's a pattern that you might be familiar with in the first solo lesson because we do play kind of the identical little lick parts of it. So let's get started. Here we start off with a pull off on the 17 on the first string to 14. Start picking upwards, 16, 17 on the second and third string. From that 17, we're going to pull off to 14 twice. So take a look. 1, 2. From that 14 we slide to 11. 1, 2, slide. From that slide 11 we hammer on to 14. We're going to sweep downwards to the second string, 13, 11 on the first string, hammer on 14, pull off 11, sweep pick upwards, 13, 14, pull off back to 11. Alright, here we have a pretty straightforward sequence. This part of the solo is just extremely hectic and fast, so I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I think it's close enough. And also fairly doable as long as you can kind of legato really quickly. Right, so we finished with a pull off to 11 from 14. From there we're going to play 14 pull off 11 3 times, using our ring finger to jump start. From there we move on to the fourth string. We're going to be playing 13, 10 pull off 3 times, and then on the fifth string 12, 9 pull off 3 times. We're going to slide from that 9 to 6, hammer on 7. We're going to pick 7 on the fourth string, and then on the fifth string play 9, 7, 6, 7, vibrato. Alright guys, that completes the series for the stage solos. I hope you enjoyed that guitar lesson. If you want to stick around for more, be sure to subscribe. Hit that like button. Let me know what you thought about the lesson. Be sure to switch on the notification bell. It helps me out a ton. If you want to support me on Patreon, the link is in the description down below. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you all again in the next video. Peace out.